Good evening, EISJ. Is everyone having a good time yet? So before makes sense. We've had such great speakers so far, but I mean, they aren't as good as I am. Well, but they're up there. They're up there, but you know, compared to me. All right. So before I start, I gotta say, I am super excited to be here in front of you all. But yeah. But this is my first time on stage, and I'm a bit confused. See, I don't know why it took me this long to be up here, because I'm extremely confident, smart, charming, have a great sense of humor, as you guys have just seen, and, well, the thing you guys can all see in front of you, I'm extremely good looking. I mean, our grade held a fashion show last week, and the only reason I didn't take part was because I knew that I would dominate every model or almost every model over there. Oh yeah, I forgot to add modesty, as I said, almost every model. And scene. So, well, most of you must be wondering, who the hell is this guy? And he seems pretty much like all talk and no substance, or he seems pretty confident, but not very well prepared. Well, usually when a person tends to boast about their abilities, but don't tend to show anything to back them up, they're probably just overestimating their own skills and abilities without knowing that they're doing so. This is due to something called the Dunning-Kruger effect. Now, many of us tend to rely on ourselves for our pros and cons, strengths and weaknesses, merits and demerits. However, psychological studies suggest that we may not be the best at doing so. The Dunning-Kruger effect is a psychological phenomenon suggested by psychologists David Dunning and Justin Kruger. And it says that people who have little to no experience in certain areas tend to think of themselves as experts in those particular areas. People who suffer from the Dunning-Kruger effect have to suffer twice. The first time is when they make the mistake, and the second time is when they aren't able to fix those mistakes. This is due to gaps of incompetence in their knowledge, caused due to incomplete knowledge. Now, 53 studies have been conducted around the world testing participants' information literacy skills. Information literacy, for those in the audience who aren't familiar with the term, is testing an individual's ability to recall knowledge and to be able to locate, evaluate, and effectively use the knowledge when necessary. Now, after the 53 studies, 50 of them participants were students, and the remaining three studies were conducted with medical practitioners and volunteers from finance, retail, consultancy, and distribution sectors. So all of the participants were undergraduates, and most of them were newly admitted undergraduates. Now, the study's results showed that 61% of participants considered their skills to be much higher than they actually were. They ranked their IELTS skills much higher. And the studies came up with the conclusion that those with the least scores had the most confidence. Now, the Dunning-Kruger effect is evident all around us. From the boisterous colleague who thinks he deserves a promotion but in reality fails to meet even his basic sale targets, to the overconfident student who struts around the hallways thinking he's the best at every subject and is a gem of every teacher's eye, but in reality, he's failing math studies. And guys, you shouldn't be failing math studies. But if anyone in the audience is failing math studies, I'm really sorry, this isn't, I'm not calling any of you out, but Razan needs to get her stuff together. Now, when I started my speech, I seemed really overconfident, but I didn't seem to have the skills necessary or the experience necessary to be on stage, let alone a TED Talk. Hopefully I've changed your guys' mind on that, otherwise the president has done a bad job on letting me on, Farida. But yeah, now, this sort of overconfidence fools the people into thinking that they're talking to someone who's a lot more accomplished than they actually may be. Now, sure, this doesn't seem like a big deal. Most of us try to be more confident to seem more accomplished or more important. But When the scale changes, the problems increase. Let's say, for example, a business or a company is trying to hire a new manager. And in the interview, he seems pretty confident, but when it comes to the actual job, he's incompetent. The business would probably fail and lose a little bit of money. But sure, it's a business. You can just fire the employee, get a new one, and hopefully hope for the best that the next one isn't as bad and can help them regain some of their profits. But what if we change the scale? Let's say the company was a country and the manager was a political leader. What if the political leader seems very confident at first and very competent, but when he's in power, seems to be making a lot of bad decisions? Now, luckily, in today's world, I can't think of a lot of scenarios where this has happened, but I can think of a certain orange-skinned, blonde-haired individual in power of a really large country. Oh, he's gone. But yeah. Now, so that's the problem, right? It's the overconfident that have the problem. Well, not really. The confident people are the ones that are more self-assured of themselves and know what they're doing. They know how much to push themselves and they know how far to go. Whereas the overconfident, on the other hand, are the ones who tend to exaggerate their own skills and abilities and also find it really hard to admit that they're wrong. Well, so now now that we know that the incompetent think that they're amazing, what about the actual experts? Sure, they must realize they're smart, right? Well, yeah, the experts do realize how smart they are, but they also tend to assume that everyone else around them is just as smart. This causes the experts to not realize how skilled they are or how unique their abilities are. Now, so what's the best thing we can do? How can we accurately judge our own skills and abilities? Well, first things first, you need to take control. You need to ask your friends and family for help. Ask them to give you feedback on your work, and keep an open mind to accepting even negative criticism. I know, it's hard to take negative criticism, but you need to take your spoonful of medicine if you want to get better. Next, alternate the way you think. In today's fast-paced world, it's impossible to be an expert in anything. New information and new discoveries are being made each and every single day. And lastly, delete any preconceived notions that you can be an expert or that you know everything. Because it's always great to try out some new stuff. Like for me, for example, I've always wanted to try kickboxing. And one of my close friends does kickboxing as well. But however, he comes back every weekend with a new bruise on his face. And I mean, I'm just really good looking, man. I don't want to get punched in my face. Anyways, good night, EISJ, and hope you had a good time.
Okay, first of all,